Hi, in this video I'm going to demonstrate how to work the Longtail Cast-on Continental style. So the Longtail Cast-on requires you to measure off a length of yarn before you actually place your slipknot on the needle, and the length of yarn that you need to measure out is 3 times the width of the final piece of knitting that you want to make, plus about 10% maybe. So I've measured out my yarn. I'm going to make a slip knot. So the way I make a slip knot is to take the yarn that's attached to the ball over the top of the tail end, and then reach through the circle, the ring, and grab the yarn to pull it out. I'm then going to place that slip knot onto my right needle. So this is the Continental method, where both yarns are going to be held in my left hand. If you grab hold of the 2 yarns together, in fact I'm just going to turn the slip knot round because I want the tail end to be near my thumb and the ball end to be near my index finger. I'm then going to put my thumb and my finger between the 2 yarns which I'm holding in my left hand, and if I turn my hand over, you can see what's known as the Slingshot Hold. It's like an old sling. So I'm now going to start working my first stitch. I'm going to go into the loop that's been made around my thumb, reach over to the yarn around my index finger, over the top, pull it through the loop on my thumb, drop the loop off of my thumb and reset my hand. So into the loop on the thumb, reach over to the yarn around my index finger to make a new stitch, drop the loop off my thumb and tighten to make a stitch, into the loop, reach over, pull the stitch through, drop the loop off my thumb and tighten the yarn. So it's a fairly straightforward, once you've got your hands sat up, it's quite a straightforward procedure. Into the loop, pull the yarn from the index finger through the loop and drop the stitch off the thumb. Reach over, pull the yarn through and drop the stitch over. You keep on repeating this for however many stitches you need to cast on. So reach over, pull the yarn through, drop the loop off my thumb and tighten the yarn. Once you've cast on enough stitches, you can turn the knitting around and start knitting. So with this particular method of casting on, it's effectively working the first row of your knitting. So when you work your first actual row of knitting, you will have a row of purl bumps facing you, as you can see here. So that's the cast on edge, and I've just worked a row of knit stitches. I have switched back to English style knitting because English style is my natural style for knitting. I can put the yarn in my left hand, so you would, if you were a continental knitter, you would then just continue knitting with your working yarn in your left hand, working a knit stitch. So I'm just going to finish this row of knitting. So that you can see what the cast on edge is like. As I've got quite a chunky yarn, I'm just pulling the cast on edge widthwise just to help seat the stitches and make sure that they are the same width as the rest of the knitting. When you cast on with this method, you can start with this side being the right side. You'll get a row of purl bumps along the bottom edge of your knitting. If you don't want the purl bumps, you will need to start with a wrong side row, and then you would have a bottom edge as shown here, which is more like a cable. It's useful to note when you work the Longtail Cast-on that if you are going to work with the purl bumps as your right side, the tail end of the cast-on is the same end as the working yarn when you're on a right side row. It just helps to know that when you're trying to keep track of your knitting. So that's how to work the Longtail Cast-on Continental style.